Kowalski's family brand embalming fluid. Listen, we know you have a wide variety of choices for your embalming fluid, so when it comes time to make that choice, think Kowalski's family brand embalming fluid. At Kowalski's, we believe in using a high quality of ingredients to ensure your embalming is neat and sanitary. Our secret blend of formaldehyde and ethanol will ensure you look your best on your final display. So when it comes time to choose Kowalski's family brand embalming fluid and look your best. Greetings and welcome to the Arnold or Stallone podcast, the first and only podcast dedicated to the film careers of Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I am your host, Tim, and I want to welcome you back. Today we are doing another of our Solo Stallones. This one is kind of needed to be talked about, but when talked about the Stallone-Schwarzenegger talk, this one really doesn't belong in a comparison, so we're going to go ahead and do a Solo Stallone, and that movie today is 1992's Stop! Or My Mom Will Shoot. So yeah, we, like always, we're going to start with the Rotten Tomato scores for Stop! Or My Mom Will Shoot. Maybe no surprise if you've heard this movie, people talk about this movie, it doesn't really get a lot of positive feedback or reviews, and the Rotten Tomatoes definitely shows that. It is sitting at a paltry 17% with the critics, 22% with the audience. So that should pretty much give you an idea of what you would be in store for if you decided to watch this movie. Before we kind of get into it, I definitely remember this movie coming out in 1992. First commercial I ever saw for it, I had absolutely no desire to see it, and went, 2026? So we went almost 35 years without actually seeing this movie. Ended up buying it on a whim, because I feel, as I got older, there was movies that I never saw that came out that I kind of wanted to give a shot, and this was one of them. That was before I started this podcast, and then once this podcast got up and running, I waited to watch this movie just in case, just in case that 17% was accurate, just in case I never wanted to see it again. So waited until it came up waited until its turn came up, and that turn is now. So yeah, I'm still I just finished watching it for a second time, so I wanted to make sure I got everything that I wanted to talk about fresh in my brain before I let's just dive into it, because this movie was I will say it wasn't as horrible as I was expecting it to be. By no means was it great. It wasn't like a Rhinestone where I was looking forward to being like, oh man, that movie's gonna get its ass kicked. It was, yeah. So let's just go into it. So we our cast of characters here. We have obviously Sylvester Stallone is our main police officer, Joe Boronsky. We have his mother, played by Estelle Getty, who was hot off the heels of the Golden Girls TV show back then. She plays his mom, Tootie. Then we have Jo Beth Williams. She plays Gwen Harper, the lieutenant, which, as the movie goes along, is Joe's love interest. We have the bad guy, Roger Rees, which, for me, he will always be Robin Colcourt on the fantastic TV show Cheers. He is our main bad guy. He has two henchmen. One of them is the sleazy lawyer from Jurassic Park, the 1993 version. He's like, I guess, henchman number one, and then henchman number two, I forget his name. He, you can see him in a lot of the Ernest movies. So he's the guy, the fat guy that wiggles his eyes back and forth. If you've seen Ernest Goes to Camp, or no, maybe it's Ernest Goes to Jail. I think was the first one he was in, or maybe even Ernest Goes to Christmas. I don't know, but so he's in a couple Ernest movies. Those are our two main henchmen. That's pretty much the bulk of the, I guess, star power. Movie was directed by a man named Roger Spottiswoode. Spottiswoode. Yeah, easy for me to say. I'm just looking to see if he did anything else of note. Which, I guess no. Oh, Turner and Hooch. Okay, so I guess he did Tomorrow Never Dies. So the old Pierce second Bond outing. So I guess he didn't completely, like, this movie didn't completely destroy his career. So let's just get started. I'm going to save all my my opinions for when we're all said and done. So we're going to start out. We're in California, and we're in kind of a vacant industrial area. Well, I shouldn't say vacant. After hours industrial area. Stallone is sitting in the car talking on the intercom or the CB to his partner, Tony. Again, Stallone is his name. His name is Joe. They are conversing on this meet. They are undercover, and of course Stallone is going, "Man, where are these guys at? We've been waiting here for 2 hours. Can't these bad guys be on some sort of schedule?" And Tony's giving them some. Well, we gotta wait and give them the other some da 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 da. And Joe replies like, "Well, don't they realize our time is important too?" And just as you know it, the bad guys pull up a car of four, and one of them is a young Ving Rhames, which, if you've seen Pulp Fiction, you know Ving Rhames. He was in many of the Mission Impossible movies. He's thug number two. He's the passenger thug. He's not the driver. Stallone gets out to meet him, and Ving looks at him side-eyed and just doesn't feel right about it. They're doing a deal of some sort, not necessarily a drug deal, but there is cash exchanged for stolen merchandise. And Joe gets out and telling him, "Hey, man, you guys are 2 hours late." And, of course, the driver's like, "You got the money?" He's like, "Of course I got the money." And Ving is all, like I say, we'll call him bad guy number two. Side eyes, "I don't know. This guy doesn't feel right. We should have checked him out first. How do we know that you have the money? How do we know you're not a cop?" Let that sink in for a bit. So their suspicions are already on high alert, but we need this movie to continue. So Joe gives him the, "I ain't no cop. If I was a cop, I'd be at home watching the Lakers game." And okay, that was enough of an excuse for them, and they feel, okay, well, this guy's on the level then. Let's do the deal. And Joe asks him, "So again, where's this merchandise?" And bad guy number three and bad guy number four walk over to a garage door and throw the garage door open, and it's chock full of electronic goods that were probably state-of-the-art back in 1992. They didn't really go into detail of what these items were, but I'm assuming it is TV, VCR combos with maybe a DVD player thrown in there too. But again, there was not justification or clarification, I guess, of what these electronic items are. So lo and behold, wouldn't you know, the stolen merchandise was right there. But nope, we needed the bad guys to throw open we needed the bad guys to throw open the garage door for a little bit of dramatic emphasis or what have you. I don't know. Stallone sees it. Okay, that's good. Opens up the briefcase to, I guess, show them the money. That's when bad guy number two freaks out and he doesn't trust him. And Joe pulls out the gun, and we get ourselves a little gunfight. And bad guy number 3 and 4 run away as Tony, Joe's partner, comes running up. He gets shot in the butt, and just a little gunfire. And of course, the two other guys that got away are fighting or shooting at him from a further distance. And Tony and Joe are talking, and Tony asks, "Hey, Joe, how you doing?" "Oh, I got shot in the butt." And "Oh, wait right here, I'll get him." And Joe pulls out his little his 6-shooter, and wouldn't you have it, or wouldn't you know, the two bad guys are firing under or they're behind garbage cans underneath a big, huge sign that is suspended by a couple chains. And Mr. Deadeye Joe, couple shots, boom, chain breaks, sign falls down. You got all 4 bad guys are now in police custody. Woo! Good job, Joe. So then we're going to cut to the bar. Joe's on the phone trying to get a hold of somebody. 1992, answering machines were there, but they weren't. Not everybody had one. So you'd see him on the payphone, and you hear the phone ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing, and one of his cop buddies brings him some a mug of beer, and I don't know who you're trying to. They're not answering by now. They're not going to be there. And Joe's, oh no, that she's there. She knows it's me. And okay, sweet. So we've kind of got a little bit of, ooh, who's Joe talking to? Of course, spoiler alert, he's trying to get a hold of his mom. So, but then we cut to the next day where Joe's in the police station, and kind of everyone was giving him shit about Joe or Tony getting shot in the butt, and the lieutenant summons Joe into her office, and they have a little, what were you doing? Well, it turns out the Lieutenant Gwen, who is played by Joan Beth Williams, is her and Joe are seeing each other, and they're having a little relationship issues, and apparently the workplace is the perfect place to air these grievances of this relationship, and Gwen is continuing to grill Joe. She tells him, I heard you were on the phone last night. Your partner was shot in the butt, and you end up leaving to get more beer. And who are you calling? And Joe breaks down, or doesn't break down, but he lets the cat out of the bag, and he was trying to call his mom. And of course, Gwen doesn't believe him. And Joe, no, seriously, I'm trying to call my mom. And again, she's still not, no, why would you be trying to call your mom? Just because that's how Joe is. He's a mama's boy. That's basically the crutch of this movie. That's kind of, before we go, the first time watching this movie, obviously, I mean, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, and the way like I said, I remember the trailers and the commercials and everything where, yeah, Joe is a mama's boy, and he just can't escape the shadow or get out from under the shadow of his mom. And it was kind of cringy at first. As we go along, it just gets even more, not super cringy, but, it's 1992, and it's funny. A grown man is still kind of under the thumb of his mother. But so yeah, they're still kind of going on about their relationship, and Joe doesn't put enough time into it, and she wants more, and this, that, and the other. And Joe is just like, okay, I gotta go pick up my mom at the airport. She's coming for the weekend. I'll see you later. So then we cut to Joe driving to the airport, and he is just, apparently when his mom comes to visit, he doesn't have the best of times. And as we find out, or find out more of his mom's characteristics, or character, there we go. The more of his mom's character we find out, we can kind of understand why he wouldn't want to spend a whole lot of time with her. But before we get there, he's doing one last visual inspection of himself through a window to make sure everything's up to mom's standards, and goes to the gate, the gate and we should mention his mom is from Newark, New Jersey, so she's got some New Jersey accent to her, or attitude. As he's waiting, everybody's disembarking from the plane, and the flight attendants come out, and they're giggling, and they're like, ooh, that must be Joe, and all kind of murmuring amongst themselves, and like I say, giggling and walking away, and Joe's kind of like checking his fly, like, okay, what's going on here? And guy comes out, little creepy guy, bald head, goes up to Joe, and, hey, you're Joe, aren't you? And, yeah. And he's like, just so you know, Joe, I was a bedwetter too. And gives Joe the thumbs up and walks away. And Joe's like, okay, what the hell's going on here? And then all of a sudden the pilots come out, and you see a little old lady kind of grouped around them and going on about, oh, her little Joey this and Joey did that, and here's some pictures. And so basically now we know Joe's mom is very proud of her boy and tells the world about Joe's little bedwetting issues, or showing pictures of Joe and just the proud mama, and that's my little boy, even though he's a grown man now, but that's still my little boy. Okay, now we've got introduced to Joe's mom. Okay, I can see where this is going. So now we're going to cut. We're there in the car driving to somewhere because it doesn't really say right off the bat. And they're having the kind of he's, she's happy to see him. And he's, Mom, you're embarrassing me. And why do you keep showing people my pictures and saying these things about me when I was a child to complete strangers? I think I'm old enough now where you don't really need to do that. And oh, well, you're still my little boy. And I'm just so proud of you. I just want to tell the world. And as they're having this discussion, the cop radio starts an all bulletins alert for a jumper. A man had worked his way onto the ledge of a building, and we need all hands on deck. And apparently in 1992, no matter where you were going, picking your mom up from the airport or not, you can't drop her off. You've got to take her with you to the scene of the crime or the accident, I guess. And they have the block, or the whole city block, blocked off, and he goes in there and they, Mom, wait here, classic line. Of course she doesn't, and Joe goes over to the main, I guess the guy in charge of the scene, and what's going on. And of course the cop is the uniform. We'll call him the uniform. Oh, this guy creeps his way out on the window ledge, and he's threatening to jump. And Joe's like, well, what? Did he get a reason? And of course, here we go. He wants to talk to his mother, but she's not calling him back. Okay. Joe realizes, hey, I can solve this situation. Let me work on it. I'll go up there and I'll talk this guy down and everything will be great. And the uniform's like, you do that, Joe. You're the man. And so we see Joe get out on the window ledge, and the classic, don't come any near, or don't come any closer, I want to jump. And Stallone, or Joe, is like, oh, I understand. And as he's trying to talk this guy off the ledge, well, that's when Mom decides to get the bullhorn from the uniform guy, and over the bullhorn, giving him the, Joe, be careful, Joe. And at the same time, she finds out the jumper is unable to talk to his mother, and then after Mom's given Joe the cautious information, she turns to the jumper, and I know I'm not your mother, but maybe I can help out, and maybe, some of my words will help you with whatever you are going through, and this, that, and that's my Joe there. He's such a good cop, I'm so proud of him. And the guy looks at Joe, and he's like, that's your mom? And he's like, yeah. Okay. And he's like, Joe, he used to do this, and he was so small, and I got pictures, and the jumper looks at Joe. She's got pictures. He's all, yeah. Well, then the guy feels sorry for Joe and decides, you know what? Maybe in my life's not so bad. Your mother helped me through this difficult situation. I'm going to go now. Decides, okay, he does have something to live for, and pulls himself back into the window, and Joe's left standing on the window ledge there, kind of just, I don't know, flabbergasted. That's not really the word, but he's just embarrassed. There we go. He's embarrassed. He just can't. He wants to be the man, but Mom is still there reminding him, nope, you're still my little boy. And as the jumper's walking down the stairs, we get 3 more uniform cops running up the stairs, and as they pass each other on the stairs, the jumper looks at the uniforms and is like, man, that guy's got issues. And wah, okay, yeah. Sweet, thanks. So then Joe gets in, and then we cut to the apartment. They're like, still, Mom's happy to see him, and Joe's just thinking Mom's a nuisance, and just, you're in my way, you're cramping my style. And they walk into Joe's apartment, and he's got all her luggage, and she comes in, and just on first inspection, she looks around and realizes Joe lives in filth, even though he doesn't, but it's not up to Mom's super cleanliness standards. And so they're having a little back and forth about, why can't you do better on keeping your apartment clean? And of course he's like, yeah, it is clean. I cleaned it this morning. And she's like, well, what about this dust over here? What about the dust over there? And she walks over, is this the closet? And he's kind of does the old, oh no, Mom, no. And wouldn't you know it, as she opens the door, boxes and shit just fall out of it. And he's just kind of like, ugh. Well, then this is the moment where one of her luggage or her suitcases decides to pop open, and there's just about a dozen cans of cubed pineapple, and Joe's like what's this for? And she's like, well, I know it's your favorite. And he's like, Mom, we have pineapple in California. And she's like, but Joe, it doesn't taste the same. Okay. Yeah, we're on fire here so far, aren't we? It's going to get better, though. I mean, yeah. So then we cut to Joe sleeping, and with his mother visiting California from Newark, New Jersey. Of course, she's still on Eastern Standard Time, so it's about 2:45 in the morning. Joe's sound asleep, and he gets awakened by the sound of his vacuum cleaner going off. And Mom takes the initiative to start some minor housekeeping and wakes up Joe, and Joe's just beside himself because it's 3:15 in the morning, and why isn't his mom sleeping? And again, I get it. Old lady gets up super early. You know, I understand that, but I don't think it was as funny as they thought it was when they did it. But whatever. What do I know? So Mom's vacuuming, and Joe's all just like, "Oh, would you just stop?" And comedically rolls out of bed. There we go. And then we cut to Mom going through Joe's laundry and doing laundry, and just as she's putting his clothes in the washing machine, puts like 2 garments in, and lo and behold, there's Joe's gun just sandwiched in between his shirts and his pants, which I'm not a gun owner, but I assume that's the best place to store your gun. His gun is in your dirty clothes hamper. So Mom sees the gun and realizes, wow, this is a dirty gun. We need to clean this. That's a clean gun is a happy gun, I guess, is Mom's standard. So cut to Mom opening up her other suitcase, and well, his mom has Comet and bleach and Mr. Clean in there, like all of us good travelers do. We take that stuff with us because it's very hard to find that stuff when you're vacationing abroad, even though you are in the same country. So then we cut to Mom just making this concoction in the sink and mixing all these chemicals. And okay, I don't mix bleach and Comet, but I haven't looked into it. I can't imagine it being safe, but whatever. I don't expect the house to blow up, but I can't imagine the fumes coming off that thing. And then dump a little Mr. Clean in there too. But hey, movie, you do you. Okay, so now we're cut to Mom with the gun, and she's trying to, just talking to herself. Oh boy, this thing's so dirty. This is crazy. How could you? Oh, and then just as luck would have it, she's able to pop out the clip, and okay, these bullets, they need to be clean, and then just empties the clip of bullets into the big sink concoction there. And of course, the classic stare down the barrel to make sure it's safe. Which, okay, 1992, we could still get away with stuff like that because people weren't as stupid as they are now. But there you go. We got to squeeze that one in. And so Mom's washing the gun, and got her little bottle brush out and just taking that filthy, greasy, grimy coating right off that gun, and boom, clean gun. Cut to Joe, who's finally able to wake up now, and he is awoken with his mom standing above him, pointing his gun at him, and she does the old classic Dirty Harry, go ahead, make my day. And Joe obviously freaks out like anyone would, waking up with someone, standing over you with a gun pointed in your face. But for here, it's done for comedic value, and ha-ha, ha-ha. And then he realizes, wait a minute, what did you do to my gun? And it's a clean gun is a dirty gun, or, a dirty gun is a, whatever I just said there, I can't even remember, but a clean gun is a happy gun, there we go. And he's just not happy. And so then we cut to Joe, he's at work, he's complaining about his mom, and then we cut to Mom trying to do right in a gun store and trying to buy a gun, and finds the right gun. Well, like most gun owners know, there's a 15-day cool-off period, but Mom wants the gun now, and she leaves the gun store, and as she's talking to the gun dealer, a shady-looking character overhears their conversation and kind of not really intercepts her, but meets her outside and tells her, hey, I have a gun. You want a gun? I can get you a gun today. And like any level-headed woman, this sounds like a fantastic idea, and they go off into the alley. Little Mom with this big, burly, tough guy that you just met wanting to purchase a gun. Sweet. So we got that going for her. So then we cut to the alley, and they're showing her assault weapons and rifles, and she's like, no, I want this one. And they're like, well, no, here, this one's better. And they end up talking her into the old Uzi, which, hey, if you want to make an impression without saying a word, I'm sure that's the way to go. So they haggle price, and as they're haggling price, you see a kind of a person looking down at them from a freeway overhang, and he goes back to the car, and as he's there, his other person is in there just having an allergy attack. Well, we're going to call these men henchman number 1, henchman number 2, which henchman number 1 was, as I mentioned earlier, the greasebag lawyer from Jurassic Park, and henchman number 2 was the guy from the Ernest movies. They call up their boss, which is Robin Colcourt, Robert Reese, and henchman number 1 tells the boss, hey, I think we found our weapons. And of course, Robin is like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then, of course, the boss is like, well, get those weapons back. And no problem, boss. We can do. And then we cut back to grandma or to mom. I guess it's not stopped my grandma will shoot, but I'd probably watch that too. But so we go back to mom. Finally, they've haggled a price they both can accept. And they give her the Uzi in a nice little brown grocery sack and put it in her purse. And they take the money, and as she's walking away, just happy with her purchase, then you see this car zooming towards the van that she was just at, and comes to a screeching halt, and gunfire blazing. One guy gets shot, the other guy drives away in a van, and car turns around, and both cars end up smashing into another car, and you kind of think that's it. They didn't really give us a finale there where it was just cuts to mom looking, oh, I just saw a witness, and she looks back and sees the dead guy. It wasn't the dead guy that talked to her at the store. It was the other guy, so there's 2 of them. So just keep that in mind, because one of these guys are going to pop up again here shortly. So now mom's the key witness in a murder. Uh-oh, what are we going to do? Now we have Joe going to the police station, and his mom is there just yucking it up with all the lieutenants and the officers and telling stories. And we'll mention Ross. This is, I guess, the obnoxious guy. He has a desk across from Joe's, and he's always giving Joe shit and just giving Joe the what have you. Your mom is here, and she makes cookies, and I'm eating one of those cookies. And did I mention your mom is here? And Joe is like, Mom, which he does quite a bit in this movie, and you kind of get tired of it after like that time. Every time he does it after, you're like, oh, dude, shut up. But no, mom's telling, oh, little Joey did this and little Joey did that. And so Joe's trying to get mom. And then all of a sudden Gwen shows up, and who's this delightful young lady? And, oh, that's my mom. And then that's when the light goes off in Gwen's head. Oh, you really were trying to talk to your mom. And he's like, well, yeah, that's what I told you. And then mom goes, oh, you're Gwen? And Joe's like, Mom, no. And then Gwen's like taken aback. Oh, you know of me? And she's like, well, hey, yeah, my little Joey talks about you all the time. And you guys need to get back together or whatever. And so yeah. So mom's putting in the good word for Joe to Gwen. And Joe's just still not having it. And he's just like, ugh, God, I think I'm ready to go. But Gwen's like, no, we need to come back. Joe, I need to talk to you in my office. And they go at it again and still complaining about their relationship and the murder and this. And Joe's just like, okay, I've had enough. And just Gwen's giving him like I say, the 1-2 punch. But this is it, Joe. I think I've had enough and we should go our own ways. And Joe's like, yeah, whatever. Whatever will end this conversation, I'm all for that. Okay. Then we see Joe. He's in the apartment brushing his teeth with a sad look on his face, and he's just, the day he's had, he's just like, I'm done. I need a good night's sleep. And mom comes shuffling in, and that's when she lets Joe know, hey, I just want to let you know, Ross, when he was interviewing me, I left out a lot of information because I want you to have it, Joe. I want you to have it. That way you can solve the case and you can advance your career. And Joe's freaking out. He's like, Mom, you can't withhold information. That's against the law. But Joe, no, Ma, you need to hear it. And so we get some more mom and son squabbling back and forth. And Joe's just like, I'm just going to bed. I just can't have this. And then cuts to a little mild car chase with a big police presence and robbers at a bank. And Joe's doing the He-Man or the hero guy. And He's trying to take out the gun or the gunmen, and the gunmen are coming out, and Joe's just right there, the gun drawn, ready to go, and shooting. They're exchanging fire, and all of a sudden, Mom comes out with a little diaper, and Joe, or no, it's probably baby powder. Joe, and Joe's like, Mom, what are you doing? And Joe, I need to change you, and Joe's like, Mom, and then pans away, and Joe's standing in a diaper, and he's just, oh, Joe, and then Gwen shows up. Well, it turns out to be a dream. Now, the reason I wanted to bring up this scene is because I think when this movie first came out, they put that scene of Stallone in a diaper in the TV, like the trailers. Every trailer I saw on TV commercials or movies or what have you for the build for this movie showed him in that diaper, which obviously was probably not the best marketing strategy because it really had nothing in the movie. It was just a dream, but then you're implanted with the image of Stallone in a diaper. So seeing that probably turned off a lot of people, myself included. Okay, well, Stallone's sitting here wearing a diaper and he looks like a fool. Why would I want to go see this movie? And so I was waiting for that scene, actually, and when it did come up, I was kind of glad it wasn't a dream because I couldn't imagine any other situation why he would be just running around in a diaper like in the real world. But I felt like that was just like, okay, we really didn't need that whole thing, but it was comedy, 1992. What can I tell you? Oh, yeah. So, but then Mom comes in. Here's Joe tussling, realizes he's having a bad dream. And Joe, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, Mom, I'm fine. And she is trying to comfort him. Well, let me tuck you in, Joe, and I'll sing you a lullaby from when you were 9 years old. Remember that, Joe? Remember that lullaby? And let me sing it to you now. And continues to serenade him with this lullaby, and Joe drifts off back to sleep. And then, as you would know it, the next morning when he wakes up, he's just had enough of her. He's like, you know what? Let's get this appointment done. Give Ross the rest of this information. It's good to see you, Mom, but you got to go. You're just cramping my style too much. I just can't. I can't take it anymore. And she's like, okay, well, first I got you a present. And then, of course, Joe's attitude changes in 180. Well, a present? Really? And she's like, yeah, but I don't know if I want to give it to you now. And he's like, but Mom, I want my present. I should have kept track, actually, of how many times he said Mom in this movie. But so she puts this box on the table, nicely wrapped, and Joe's excited and rips open the paper and tears the box open, and what's inside? An Uzi. And Joe is looking at it, shocked. And Mom is a little disappointed because that was not the reaction she was expecting. And then she's like, well, don't you like it? And he's like, Mom, this is illegal. And she's like, oh, no, I bought this from a man on the street. And then Joe's still just doubly, what? Yeah, from the back of a truck. You bought a gun from the back of a truck? And she's like, well, yeah. And so he's just going on, but Mom, now you could go to jail. And this is just crazy. And she's like, well, I wanted you to be happy. And he's just like, well, my God, Mom, it's an Uzi. And again, comedy is kind of there. Not really. But yeah, if you look at it through squinted eyes, make of it what you will. All right, then we're going to cut to Ross, who is questioning Mom, and Mom is playing the, oh, I don't know. And Ross is asking her, well, what kind of car was it? And he's offering, well, was it a big car or a little car? And she's like, well, what's a big car to you is a little car to me, or vice versa. And she's still just I don't know. It was a car. I do know it had 4 wheels, though. And Ross is just kind of getting fed up with this. And then Mom is like, well, you know those Cadillacs? And Ross kind of, little hope of a glimmer of hope. Yes, I know Cadillacs. Was it this year? And she's like, well, no, it was that other one. And so Ross is just like, nah, okay, whatever. I need a break. I need a break from you, old lady, or I'm going to just do something I don't want to do. And so he leaves the interrogation room, and Mom goes walking out. And as she's walking out, well, then there's Gwen, and then they go into her office, and that's when Mom lays down the sob story of Joe's father. When he had passed away, Joe had taken the mantle of the man of the house, and he had done all the funeral arrangements, and he even picked out the casket, and he did all this, and I couldn't handle it, and he was the rock to my sand or whatever. And so now Gwen sees Joe through a different set of eyes, apparently, because Mom is just giving him Joe's a strong man. I don't think he cried once when his father died, so he's holding all that in. So you really need to take a second chance on Joe, because he is a good guy. He just doesn't know how to show his feelings, and because he's a man, and that's what men do. They don't know how to show their feelings. And then they have a nice good cry because they realize all the growing up Joe had to do in such a short amount of time. And as they're crying, Joe just happens to come into the office because he's looking for Mom, and he sees them just blubbering together. And okay, there we go. Joe's just like, ugh. And then we're going to cut again where Joe and Mom are squabbling again on the way out to the car, and they're just going on. And Joe's just like, Mom, I want you to tell me what you saw, that we need to get this case done. And I'm ready to just not to deal with this anymore. And that's when Mom spills the beans, where she gives him every single detail. She goes, this guy was 6'3". He had a tattoo of a coiled snake about 24 inches up off of his wrist, and it was on the left arm. And the sun pattern created just a little 70% tan on that, where the other 25 was still kind of white, but there was a mild case of freckling around it. And the license plate for this van was this, that, and the other. And the van was a 67 Chevy van, and it had a primer spot just right around the driver's side door handle. And there was another one on the passenger side just below the right tail light. And just going on, and just tells him everything. And so Joe's just like, well, okay, that's right on. Well, thanks for the info. Well, so now they know where to start. And then we cut to a house where, lo and behold, henchman number 1 and henchman number 2 are there interrogating a woman, because they're also on the kind of the same case. They want to find out, they find this guy because they want to get the guns back. And they have her all tied up in a chair, and where is he at? And she, of course, has no idea. Well, just as they're doing this, that's when Joe rolls up, because as they were going from the police station to here, Joe had done a quick license check and got all the information of an address and the name of the tenant, so he knew exactly where to go. So he's knocking on the door as the henchmen are interrogating this woman, and he's not getting any answer, of course, because, well, she's occupied at the moment. And he waits a few more minutes, and then that's when she lets out the blood-curdling scream, and he goes into action, kicks open the front door, and goes checking out the house as the henchmen are running out the back door, and they take off, and Joe kind of runs after him, but he can't do it, and he realizes that, he can't get them because they get in their car and they take off. Well, then good thing Mom's still there, because she's now in the driver's seat in hot pursuit, which, again, the comedic value of a 60-year-old short woman in a hot pursuit was pretty comical for the time. And don't let the enthusiasm in my voice sway you. It was comical because she was driving slow. She was trying to avoid accidents, which, as luck would have it, it seemed like every intersection they had gone through, there was a car crash. And she had to navigate through this. One of them was too tight, ended up taking off a driver's side door. Do they stop? No, they're in hot pursuit. It's more like mild pursuit now, but whatever. Well, then, of course, they have to get redirected onto the sidewalk. We can't have a car chase with an old lady driving without her driving on the sidewalk. So, yes. So if you're hoping there is a sidewalk driving scene in this movie, you're going to be happy, because there is. So they're on the sidewalk. Well, then they just have Mom loses control of the car, and they drive into a dumpster. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. So we're almost there. I promise you. I'm going to try to I'm going to try to go quick, because it's not good. This movie's just not. It's just not good. All right, now we're back at the police station, and Ross is back at busting Joe's balls, and he's just back at telling him about, your mom's just a knowing little old lady, and Ross is just giving Joe just shit, and Joe's just had enough, and they go into the bathroom, and that's when Ross lays into Joe. Your mom she's more of a liability than anything. Her cookies suck, and that was enough for Joe. That's all he had to hear. Don't you dare say his mom's cookies suck. You can call her every single name in the book, but her baking skills, man, those are second to none. And that pushes Joe over the edge, and he grabs Ross and dunks his head in the toilet and flushes his head. And yeah, swirly high school. And then Joe's walking out, and he meets Gwen again, and Gwen gives him back his toothbrush because now the relationship is officially over. And they exchange some soft words about, hey, it was really fun being in a relationship with you. Yes, I really enjoyed my time with you as well. And as they are having this little conversation, Ross comes out, of course, still dripping wet head, just saturated, and he wants to press charges, and Joe's this, and Joe, you're that, and I'm going to do this, and Gwen's like, Ross, you go to your desk, which she is the lieutenant. I don't know if I mentioned that. She's the boss. And Ross kind of, no, you go to your desk, and he squishes away with his wet feet, and Joe and Gwen share another smile, and Joe's like, yeah, I should probably go to my desk too. He's like, yeah, you probably should. So then we cut to the park, and again, Joe and Mom are still talking about this case, and they're still trying to figure it out. And then Mom just has this story of a shop owner in Newark, New Jersey, that ended up burning down his warehouse. Well, it turns out he just did that for the insurance money, and Joe gets an idea, like maybe that's what happened. So then they talk a little bit more about this whole thing. So then Joe finds out who the main bad guy is, and he just does a cold call, pops into his office, and ends up talking to him. And he's got his suspicions. I'm pretty sure that you collected the insurance from that warehouse fire. I'd like to see it. And of course, the bad guy gives the old, well, if you have a warrant, then yes, you can. But you don't have a warrant, then no, you can't. And Joe gives him a couple more, reads him a little more of the riot act, another paragraph or two, and then that's when the bad guy was like, okay, yeah, you can go check it out. And then Mom comes in, forcefully, I might add, and she's throwing accusations like, you did it, I know you did it because I'm an old lady, and old ladies are never wrong. And the bad guy's like, no, here's the address, help yourself, go check it out. And as they're leaving, they hear a man sneezing behind the closed doors. Ooh, I wonder who that is. Okay, so then they take off, and henchman number 1 and henchman number 2 come in. And of course, henchman number 2 is still suffering from his allergy attacks, and he sneezes again. And the boss lays in you need to eliminate them and make it look like an accident. Sure thing, boss. Then we go to the warehouse where Joe's checking it out, and he, before he gets out of the car, he has a little heartfelt conversation with his mom. Well, as he's doing this, he's unscrewing the door locks, which at the time when the door locks were at the top of the door, where you just push them down and you could unscrew the cap cover, and once the doors were locked, then you couldn't unlock them. And haha, simpler time. And Mom's like, well, aren't I going with you? And he's like, no, Mom, you need to wait in the car because you're in the way, and I'm tired of looking out for you. And so he locks her in the car and goes into the warehouse. Well, she just happens to have her lock picking kit for old ladies with her, and the whole time she has this little dog. I don't think I mentioned she had this little dog, and she's always talking to this little dog, and ends up getting herself out of the car. Well, as Joe's in the warehouse looking around, which does show signs of a fire, so okay, maybe there is a little validity behind their story. And just then he looks over, and there's Mom going on, well, I have a suspicion. And she's like, they were talking again. Well, then at this time is when the henchmen do what most people do to make someone look like they've been killed by accident, is they take a huge wrecking ball and they just start throwing it into this building and doing slight demolition to it. So, when they do find Joe and Mom's body, it's going to be crushed under tons of rubble. Yeah, it looks natural to me. But they're able to get out, and as they get out, they see the henchmen running, and Joe and Mom pull out the gun. Well, Joe pulls out his gun first and doesn't realize Mom has a gun because it's in her purse. And he looks down, and after he's used up all his shots, the henchmen are still running away. Mom starts shooting at him. And this is where the other terrible line comes in, which, again, they did milk on every commercial. He does the, stop! or my mom will shoot. Well, they don't stop. Apparently that warning was not enough for them to be like, well, I guess you're right. We don't want Joe's mom to shoot us. So mom continues shooting. And again, for this the Stallone in the diaper and the stop or my mom will shoot was in every single commercial when this movie was being advertised. And I think if Joe in the diaper wasn't enough not to make me see this movie, that was enough to be like, all right, yeah, I don't think so. So then Joe does pursuit, ends up catching one of the bigger, he catches henchman number 2, and then they cuts to him in cuffs, and Joe's putting him in the chair in his office, and everybody's giving them a round of applause. And then we cut to Gwen, who's in her office surrounded by roses, and she's assuming it was Joe, and hears that Joe's back and just lays a big fat kiss on him, and everybody applauds them again, and oh, thank you for the roses. And of course Joe has no idea what the hell she's talking about, and he's like, that was from my mom. Well, that didn't go well with Gwen because she decides to hit Joe in the mouth, and so she just cold cocks him, just punches him right in the chops. Just, you should have done this. This is what you should have done. And Joe's just like, ugh, whatever. All right, now we're going to cut back to mom, who's still at Joe's apartment. And then Joe comes in again, just lays down the law, has this list of rules that mom must abide by because he's tired of her messing with his love life. He's tired of her messing with his work life. He's tired of her waking him up at 3 o'clock in the morning to vacuum, and just lets her have it. And he's had enough, and he decides he needs to be away from mom. Well, as he's leaving, on the front stoop, mom comes out and lays down a little ma logic on him and tells him, I will always be your mother, and this, that, and you can't tell me a list of rules I need to live by because I'm your mother, and I'll always be your mother, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, okay, we get it. Anybody who has a mom has probably heard that. Like, if you've ever wanted to, if your mom has ever annoyed you and you just kind of like, you know what, mom, I need a little break from you. That's when mom kind of lays in the guilt. Well, I'm your mother, and that's what mom did here. Okay, great. Well, Joe finds the only place he can go is back to his office, and it's after hours, so there's nobody there. And like all cops do in every 90s cop movies, they have a bottle of whiskey in their desk drawer, and Joe pulls it out, and he's doing shots, and Gwen just happens to be there at the same time and decides to sit up and have a shot with him. And then they kind of have a little heartfelt talk about the relationship and about, oh, I'm sorry I punched you in the mouth. And then Joe was, well, I should have bought you those roses a long time ago. And so they kind of reconcile a little bit, and everything's great. And then Joe goes home, mom realizes she was a burden, and she was like, no, I need to go. I need to go. Yeah, I have been a pain in your side. And then Joe realizes, no, mom, you really weren't that bad. He rushes to the airport, runs around screaming, mom, and just when he feels like he can never find her, he stops and he's leaning against a pillar, and lo and behold, when you know it, mom just happened to gets driven by at that moment by the sky captain or whatever they are, those little people that ride around in the golf carts in the airport. So he sees her and runs after her and tells, oh, mom, don't go, I'm sorry, say blah, blah, blah. Okay, oh yeah, so they just, oh yeah, sure, whatever, okay, we got it. So yeah, trust me, we're almost there. So then they get back to Joe's apartment, and Joe realizes or sees this front door is kicked in. So they go looking through, and lo and behold, the guy who sold Ma the gun in the first place, the big guy, he's in there, and she smacks him with the frying pan. And so then they have him tied up to a chair, and that's when he spills the rest of the beans. He tells us who the bad guy is. He tells us where he's doing. He tells us what he's going. He tells them where he can find him. And he just gives them the rest of the information they need to get this case solved. And okay, so now Joe's going there. Well, then we cut to an apartment with the bad guy who has a makeshift suicide letter, and henchman number one comes walking in, and the bad guy shows him this letter, and the henchman reads it, and he's done, and he's like, well, this, you're not going to kill yourself. We're going to South America to live out the good life there. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I want them to think I'm dead. And so he's like, well, how are they going to do that, And it's just like, oh, they're going to read the letter, and they're going to find the body. And he's like, oh, okay. And then the boss like, oh, I have one for you. And so the guy, he's like, I just need you to sign it. Oh, okay, that sounds legit. Sure, let me just go ahead and sign this suicide letter real quick. And then after henchman number one signs it, boss is looking out the window, and oh wow, you need to check this out. And the henchman number one, oh, that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, just lean out the window a little further. No, a little further. And as he's leaning out the window, one of the other guys, the hired muscle, throws him out. Boom. Tying up some loose ends there. There you go. So then Joe takes off to find the bad guy, and turns out he's trying to get away on South America. And so he's going after him. It tells Mom, nope, you stay here. Well, of course, Mom's not going to do that. She ends up going too. And then it cuts to Joe at the airport, sees him getting all into the airplane, the bad guy, with a couple more of his little hired muscle. Well, lo and behold, they happen to have Mom with them too, which, how'd that happen? Yeah, Mom's just in the way. Yeah, sorry, Mom. I guess you weren't as cagey as you thought you were. So now Joe's trying to prevent this plane from taking off, and he jumps into a big rig, which, you've heard us talk about it before. All these guys have just immense background training in heavy machinery. So Stallone must have been targeting his over-the-top days of driving that semi, because he got in there and he crashed it into the plane, and yeah, so they didn't take off. Well, lo and behold, the bad guy comes out, and they have a little fisticuff, and all of a sudden now he's got the gun. The bad guy's got the gun pointed at Joe, and Mom's there, and don't you shoot my son. And the bad guy's, oh, what are you gonna do, Mom? And of course she ends up pulling out a gun of her own gun out of her bag, and he's like, oh, you're not gonna use that. And boom, she shoots him, and all right, so we're all said and done. Bad guy has been killed. The world is safe. Now we're going to cut to the airport, where Joe is now officially going to say goodbye to Mom, and Gwen just happened to go along for the ride because, hey, why not? So then they're loading her up. They're getting ready to go in line, and Mom just happens to see this shady-looking character. And she's like, Joe, I know that guy. And Joe's just playing it off like, no, you don't know that guy, Mom. Come on, let's go. You're going to miss your flight. And she's, no, Joe, I know him. Go get him. And Joe's like, oh, no, Mom, come on, you don't know him, And she's like, Joe, I know that guy's not good. And Joe happens to look again, and lo and behold, guy pulls out a pistol from his waistband, and of course, some chaos, panic, whatever ensues, and Joe goes running after him and takes him down in the airport, takes the gun away from him, and there just happens to be a cop standing there, so Joe gets himself some handcuffs and handcuffs the guy, and Mom comes scuttling over, and yes, I told you that guy was no good. And Joe's like, well, how did you know? Because she's like, I seen him, what? And Joe's like, what did he do? And she goes, he tried to shoot his mother. And then Stallone gives us the old campy looking smile. Freeze frame. Roll credits. So yeah, that was stop, or my mom will shoot. This movie sucked. Like I say, well, okay. Yeah, no, you know what? I'm going to stand by that ground. It wasn't great. It was not good. It's not horrible. I was expecting it. Like I said, the first time I watched it was very cringy because it's that whole mother-son, oh, Joe, oh, Mom, you ruined my life. Even though that they never did say that phrase, I would have actually appreciated it more if they had said that phrase. But, and so there was an interview with Sylvester Stallone talking about this movie, and he definitely chalks this one up to one of the worst movies he ever did. I was doing a little investigation into this because I do remember hearing stories. So apparently back in 1992, obviously Stallone and Schwarzenegger were at the peak of their rivalry of movie supremacy. And Schwarzenegger was actually offered this movie first. But when he read the script, he realized how terrible it was. Well, what he decided to do was he was ranting and raving about it. It was like, oh my God, this movie's going to rule. And so somehow he got Stallone into thinking that Stallone stole this movie from Schwarzenegger because, well, Arnold was going to do it, but, I was able to negotiate my way into doing it. Maybe he did it for less money. I don't know the exact details of it. So he's probably thinking, ha, score one for the good guys, Schwartz. You're not going to do this great movie. And Schwarzenegger's probably like, sucker, I got you to do stop or my mom will shoot. So, yeah, so Schwarzenegger basically tricked Stallone into taking this movie, and Stallone was just like, what the hell? And so, I mean, if you've never seen it and you want a good You know what? I'm not even going to say that. I was going to say if you wanted a good laugh, but there's really not any good laughs. It's the whole, oh, mother did this, mother did that thing. And it's just kind of like, ugh. It gets old after a while. And see, I was never a mama's boy. And so it was even that much more cringy to me just to see the grown man and the mother dynamic, which thank God I don't have one of those. I mean, I love my mother, don't get me wrong, but I don't have this kind of dynamic with mom. I mean, in the first place, my mom would never do my laundry as an adult. I would never want her to do my laundry as an adult. So, right there. But yeah, this movie just was not good. It just was not good. Estelle Getty, she was funny in Golden Girls. I kind of felt like she got a little annoying in this movie because she was just always the little old lady shuffling around. But yeah, so that's all that's all I really got for this one, because I could just keep going on and on and on about how much I just did not like this movie. And I did watch it twice. I will say it was a little easier the second time I watched it because I kind of knew what to expect. But it was not good. So far, out of all the movies, and ironically enough, this is actually episode 20. So we've done, 19 movies, not counting Action Jackson out of this. This is definitely the worst movie that I've watched so far for this whole thing. And I knew it was coming. I mean, I couldn't put it off. I know there's going to be some more stinkers in the future, but here's our first official stinker. Stop! Or my mom will shoot. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug on this one because I think we've talked about enough for this and never to talk about it again. So our next episode, actually, I'm going to get back into the Stallone-Schwarzenegger discussion, and we're going to talk a little Last Action Hero with a little cliffhanger. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you can join me for that. So again, if you want to email me, I'm at arnoldorstallone@gmail.com, and I do have a YouTube channel, the Arnold or Stallone Podcast at YouTube. Check us out. Of course, I'm on the internet at the arnoldorstallonepodcast.com, and just send me something if you want. Good, bad, indifferent. I don't care. It don't matter. So thank you for spending some time with me and listening to me go on about this movie, which I will never say the title of that movie for the time being. So until next time, I'll talk to you then.